Okay, hi. We're back with the 2-point perspective with using pixlr.com, and today we're going to learn how to create a walkway and a street. So this should be fun. Okay, so where we left off last time, we learned how to make this basic building structure using pixlr.com. And so we learned how to make the vertical lines down and take the top and bottom of each line back to the vanishing point, and then end our form. And then we learned a little bit how to erase all this and clean it up. Now, are you remembering to save your work? Well, you should. You need to. This would be a good time to save your work if you haven't already. Remember to save often, because if your browser crashes, you will lose potentially, an hour or so worth of work, which is not cool. Okay, so to create our street and walkway, I'm going to try and do this as simple as possible. Okay, in pixlr.com, we need to mind our x and y coordinates whenever we're making vertical or horizontal lines, right? So I'm going to follow whatever this x coordinate is at this end of this vertical corner of the building line, and I'm going to follow it down and just put a dot however far down I want the end of my sidewalk to be. Then I'm going to take that point back to each vanishing point, and then to give the curb a little width, I'm going to make another tiny vertical line down here as wide as I want that curb to look at this point, and then take the bottom of that line back to each vanishing point. Then I'll show you how to finish off the sidewalk on the other side and add the lines. So we're going to be moving on to this. All right, so first let's get to this point. Okay, so I'm going to pick a color. I can review how to change our colors. Find it in the wheel here, and then, oops, it moved it. And then grab this one, and then see, I can get any shade of green in here. So if I want the bright green, I'll just come over here. Okay, so now I'm going to take this paintbrush tool, my tool of choice, and I'm going to pick a smaller dot. We'll try size. Well, it's kind of small. I'm going to try 9. So I'm going to look and see about what this point is here, 384. So I'm going to come down and watch this x coordinate up here. And I'm going to make sure that it stays at 384 when I put my dot. That way everything will be nice and lined up. I'm going to come way down here. Right about here looks good. So I'm going to make a dot. Then I'm going to hold down shift to make a straight line. Go back to this vanishing point. You know what? I'm going to make that line smaller. I'm going to choose 5. So I'm going to click again on here at 384. And then I'm going to hold shift and click over here. There, that's better. Then I'm going to come back to the dot and make it say 384. Click, hold shift, click on the other vanishing point. Okay, so now you can kind of see where the sidewalk's taking shape. But what I'm going to do is go back here. I'm going to click on 384, and then I'm going to come down just a little bit. I think I'll make this wider so you can see it maybe a little better. So when the X says 384 again, however wide I want the curve to be, I'm going to click, take it back to this vanishing point, and then I'm going to go click back up where the X coordinate says 384, and then click on this vanishing point. And there, now you can kind of see like we have a curve created. So let's go back to our PowerPoint real quick. Oh, I guess I could make this line too if I wanted to. 384 and then 384. There. So now there's a corner there. Okay, see, I just put an orange dot there so you could see it in this slide photo where the line I took back was. Okay, so we talked about giving the curve width. Okay, now to make the other side of the sidewalk, this is not really tricky, but we're going to go to the opposite vanishing point. So I use these blue lines here to do that, so it wouldn't be confusing. To give the walkway width, I took an actual physical ruler I had at my house, since you don't get rulers with pixlr.com. In Photoshop, you can probably use the rulers that come with the program. But anyway, I found it helpful to place a physical ruler on the screen, which you won't be able to see me do, but I'm going to tell you when I do. And then I measured an inch away from this point. So I placed my ruler along this line. And when it said 1 inch, I put a dot here. And then I took this point back to the opposite vanishing point. So I can get this the other side of the sidewalk. And then I measured out another inch here, put a blue dot, and then took it back to this vanishing point. That's how we're going to do the lines of the sidewalk. Usually the lines will go back to the vanishing point on the side they're on, like when we do doors and windows in the next tutorial. But sometimes to give something depth or to do like lines on a sidewalk, you use the opposite one. So just keep that in mind for right now. And we're going to build to this. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to get blue this time, just to keep consistent. So I'm going to pick this bright blue color, maybe a little lighter. I don't know, that's good. And then let me get my paintbrush back. Okay, so I'm placing a physical ruler on the screen at this time. Okay, and then I'm going to measure out 1 inch and put a dot. It's right about here. Then I'm going to hold shift and take that dot back to the opposite vanishing point. And this one's the opposite one because the dot's on this side. So this would be the same side vanishing point. If the dot's on this side, this would be the opposite side vanishing point. So I'm going to hold shift and click. Then I'm going to measure over here, 1 inch out from the corner. So I'm placing my 0 of my ruler on that corner I created. And then I'm going to hold the ruler on the screen while moving my mouse. I'm going to click on that 1 inch line, take my ruler off. Then I'm going to go to the opposite vanishing point, hold shift, and click. And there, it's that easy. Now, to get the other little lines, all I did was I put the ruler back on the screen. And I put my 0, or, well, actually I'm putting the end of the ruler, which is a 15-inch ruler. So I'm putting 15 here, and then I'm going to measure every ½ inch and put a dot. So there and there. If you have a shorter ruler, this kind of helps, but I'm using this big ruler. And then there and about there. There. Now, since I've clicked all these points, the only one I can really take back and hold shift, it's going to hold this line, but see, watch. Okay, so now I'd have to go back and erase all of this, right? So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on a point. I'm going to start with this one. So I'm going to re-click this dot, and it can be like close enough. And then I'm going to put my ruler on the screen, and I'm going to line up where my mouse is with the vanishing point that's over here. This vanishing point here, the opposite one. So let me re-click that dot. So I got that all set up. And then what I'm going to do, okay, so I got this dot lined up with the opposite vanishing point. So then I'm going to follow my ruler. So right at the point where my ruler intersects this blue line right here, I'm going to put my mouse, I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to click, and then my line stops right there. And if I extended that line, it would go all the way to here, to this vanishing point. See? But now I don't have to erase all that. So that's why I like to put the ruler on the screen. That's like one of my little Mrs. Adams tricks for you. So that way I don't have to go back and erase all that. So hopefully that understanding is coming across in the demo, because it'll save you a lot of time. So I'm going to click this dot here. I have my ruler lined up with the vanishing point to the right, this one right here. So my ruler's touching this dot and this vanishing point. So I'm just going to follow my ruler, and when the ruler intersects this blue line, I'm going to make a dot. I'm going to hold shift and make another dot. And then I'm going to do the same with this point. So I'm going to click here to reset it, and then I'm going to line up my ruler with this dot and the vanishing point to the right. Follow my ruler back to where it intersects this blue line that I made, and hit shift and click. And then the same thing here. Now we can do the same thing on the other side. So it'll just take me a minute to finish this off. Got my ruler lined up. It intersects the line right here. So I'm going to hit shift and click, and one more just for fun. And all these should look in perspective. Now you got to watch your ruler doesn't wiggle on you. If it did, I might have to fix something, but like if you drop it or something. But yeah, that's pretty good. So now on this side we can do the same thing. So I put my ruler down, and so I got my 0 lined up with where this blue line meets the green. So I have my 0 here. So now I'm going to go every ½ inch and make little blue dots. There, there, there. And you don't have to make them like ½ inch. I just did because it's easy to see. You could make it kind of any width you wanted. Now all I'm going to do is take the lines back to the other vanishing point. So now I'm lining up this dot with this vanishing point over here to the left, the opposite one. So, oops. So I'm going to put my ruler on the screen. I'm lining up this last dot with the vanishing point to the other side. And where my ruler crosses this blue line, I'm going to put a dot, hit shift, and click. Oops. I don't know why that didn't work. I must not have clicked it. So there, hit shift and click there. Now this one. So I'm going to click on the dot I made as close as I can. My ruler on the screen, line up the dot with the opposite vanishing point. Find where the ruler and the blue line intersect, right there, and hit shift and click to make a straight line. And I just keep doing this. Line up the ruler and the dot. Okay, so first I click my dot. Then I'm going to follow where the ruler intersects the blue line, hit shift and click. And the same thing here. Okay, lining up ruler, hit dot, click, shift and click here. And I think I have one more. And then I'll show you how to do the street. It's the same way as doing the walkway. It's really easy. So click here. And I'm going to line up the ruler with the vanishing point to the side. There we go. See, there's ways around everything. Right where the ruler and the blue line intersect, I'm going to hit shift and click. There. So we have a sidewalk. Yay! So now to make our street, how I did that. Let me see, where did I do that? Oh, I didn't show it in this one. Well, I'm going to show you the street anyway because I think what I did was I worked on the doors and windows and then I added the street later, but I'll show you how to do the street now. In the next demo, we're going to learn how to make these doors and windows and add lines to show depth. So you can see here I did not add lines going back at the top to show the ceiling and the wall, but here and here, over here I did, and then on these doors, I made them look open. Like the way you design the door, you could put like a handle on it, make it look shut, but if you want to make a doorway look open, then I'll show you how to do that too. But for a street, all you want to do is you figure out where this corner ends, and in this sized window here, you know, I don't really want my corner of my street here. I know it extends beyond the paper, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ruler over here on this point, and I'm going to have my ruler come down to some imaginary point off screen, and I'll show you, hold on, while I do that. So I'm lining up my ruler, and then my ruler's following this line here, so it's coming down here, and it runs off the page right here. So I'm going to put a dot here where my ruler runs off the page. And then I'm just going to go to my vanishing point and hit shift. And then over here, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to try to see, like, okay, this line, if I measure from here to where the curb is, that is about 1 3/4 inches. So if I come over here and if I measure from the corner of the green curb out 1 3/4 inches here, it'll be like the same width as the other side. So I started my ruler here, and I measured 1 3/4 inches over here, and I put my dot. And then if I take this back to here, it'll look the same on both sides. So there's that. So now we have like a street, and you could like make that wider. Like I could make it come out 2 inches or something, you know. But for all intents and purposes, this is fine. Now some people like to put the little lines down the middle. If you want to do that, you can click the corner, and then you can measure all this out, like exactly how far you want it away from the curb, and do that. And then you could take the eraser tool, and you know, you could, well, you'd probably want to use the not blendy one. And then you could come in here and like erase the lines. And then as you go back, the line should look shorter. So you get more of a perspective if you do that. So that's kind of like how you can do the line things. So, all right, that kind of concludes the portion of this demo on creating walkways, sidewalk lines, and streets. Stay tuned next time as we learn how to create doors and windows on a building in 2-point perspective. See you then, and thanks for watching.